be part of the panel today.
Oh, okay,
Who's come here?
Nice
So
to meet you, Virgil. Steve, Virgil. Nice to meet you.
and
How's it going? Super.
yeah.
Nice. How's it going? Hey, nice to meet you. How's it going? Nice to meet
So
you.
we would be super excited to have this conversation with you later and talk about how you see
Yeah.
things. And so it's
From
just
your own
have a
perspectives.
have a hope to have a nice evening or day
Yeah,
evening
yeah.
with us. Yeah, cool. So
So
let's
we're
just.
gonna do that here, or where
No, I think what we'll
just
do is
standing
that let's
around.
be in the middle of the
Yeah, yeah,
products, and
yeah.
then we can you can take some stools and sit on the rock, and then
Okay.
it gets a little bit more cozy because then you can actually
Be near them.
the products and
Very
talk about them and the idea behind them, so on. Okay.
perfect.
Yeah. Good. I mean, take some.
Yeah.
Could maybe people could have the opportunity to take something to drink, or would that be okay? No. Yeah. Unfortunately, it is a bit. I'm very disappointed. I thought we would have some white wine or prosecco, but I was told no. But it's so crazy. I was told that you have to have some kind of license.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not Europe.
In Europe, it's like we just bring the booze in, but here, so unfortunately, there's no alcoholic, so you're totally sober for the rest of the evening. So just go ahead, and then we'll start in 15 minutes.
Yeah, she did the magazine.
What do you think of the new handle? In
I love it.
Yeah, I think it's really nice now with the shape and
Yeah, to
everything.
me, these things are so like plastic. So
These are
it's gonna be like metal.
yeah. These are just glued on, so nobody has. Virgil did like this, and he came off, and we were like, no, don't touch it, don't touch it, you're ruining it. We had a hell of a time assembling yesterday. We almost had a nervous breakdown because when the packet arrived, the back glasses had broken,
Yeah.
and then when you start assembling them, because they've been done here in a local craftsman Sweden.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of troubles with fitting all the glass pieces together, and because they're so thin, making sure that there's no tension. So it was a teamwork to assemble this, but it turns out nice. But I'm really happy about the chair. I think it's beautiful. I think it's really beautiful. Huh?
It came with a shape.
Yeah, it's
Shout
really
out to
nice.
another pro.
Yeah, I think it's really nice.
But it's
And I
not
think
brown.
what is good about it is that it's a chair that you can actually enjoy from all angles.
Angles and moving around it gives a
Exactly.
different.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a chair where you feel it's the front side.
You resolve it by
No,
just seeing it in one
exactly.
photograph.
Yeah,
It's got an all-inclusive vibe.
yeah, exactly. I think it's really come out well. We are looking into still with
The acrylic.
yeah, and the thing is now that we have decided to become a circular company, meaning that only
That's the word.
sustainability, 100%. We can do the acrylic, but only if we can do it in recycled acrylic.
You know what
Because
too?
virgin acrylic is oil
Yeah,
based.
no, I love recycled acrylic.
Yeah.
I'd rather that be part
Yeah,
of the
that's what I
narrative.
mean. Yeah. So it's more like can we she could take in with a message.
100%. And like when it comes to the living space, like
Yeah.
we're gonna find out, like I'm gonna ask these kids, like, what's the aesthetic?
Yeah.
I don't care what. I
No.
want to know what aesthetic draws you to put things into your home to live
Exactly.
with. Is it
Exactly.
handmade? Do you
Yeah.
want it to be modern? Do you want it to
Exactly.
be
Exactly. What?
magazine chairs? Like, what's
Exactly.
the,
Yeah.
because like thinking about
Yeah.
visuals, like
Yeah.
what does
Yeah.
is your mugs, are they
Yeah.
all pure?
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
seen or
Yeah.
handmade
Yeah.
ceramic mug?
Exactly. All right, we're in New York.
Yeah, New York
We are
City.
IKEA live streaming from New York. This is Virgil, who is the main attraction here today. We are here because we are going to show you some the first prototypes of from the collection IKEA is developing together with Virgil. We actually had the first live stream session in Elmhult. We have, I think it's about 16,000 people living in Elmhult, and here we have, what is it, 16 million or something like that. So it's a big contrast being in New York. But it's really great to be here, and it's great to meet you here.
Yeah, no, New York is a part of the fabric that made me the person, the designer, and the thinker that I am. So just even having the work that we did in this context sort of gives a different feel, and we can learn from it.
Exactly.
And what we're seeing is not the finished product.
No, exactly.
It's a milestone in the creative process.
We're still in the development of it. So what would be really cool if you guys out there would pop some questions when we go inside here to show you the first prototypes of the collection. Perfect. And I think we can reveal not the name, we'll do that later, but we can actually, I mean, the theme of the topic of the collection is to create a design collection for the millennials.
Yeah, and I know one of the main questions that we get online as we're developing is is this going to be affordable? Is this going to be available? And those things are embedded within IKEA and the notion of democratic design. So I think we can reveal that.
Absolutely.
You know.
It's going to be affordable. It's going to be within IKEA's price range. So it's for you guys out there who wants fantastic design with a unique Virgil signature to make your first home. So let's go in, right?
We're like TV guys. Maybe we should do this more often.
Yeah,
Design
I think so.
And
yeah,
TV.
Design and TV. We can have our reality show.
What would be the name of our show?
I don't know.
Most
Virgil.
Most in quotes. Sweet. So this space is set up in a way to sort of touch on some of the main bullet points. Where should we begin? The doorstop, or?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's. Maybe we should just mention a little bit that that we have selected some prototypes for you guys to see, and we will talk about the idea behind what has been the driving force for Virgil to design this, and we would love for you to give your questions and your comments to what we're going to talk about and what we're going to show you. So please bring the questions in.
Yeah.
So we got one question already. It's a big question. Why did you choose to reveal your work in progress?
You know, for me, as I was growing up, I'd studied architecture. I was into music, and I always felt that there was a gap between the things that I loved and consumed and who made them, how they made them. So it's like a premise that I gave to my design process in the beginning. It's a powerful tool to educate and to get more people into design and appreciate design if they simply can see the process that we do in our meetings and in our design sessions that give products that people live with.
And also in the sense that we think it's important to share what goes into creating a collection and what goes into doing these products, because it's not something that happens by itself. There's a lot of effort and creativity and a lot of people involved in it. So it's and I think I believe in transparency, that you show what you do.
It's
we live in, we live in a connected world, and we should be proud that we can actually share where we are.
Exactly. Pan to the right so you can let them know that there's people at home, or the people in the room. Everyone in this room contributed to this collection in a way. So it's transparent TV.
Yeah.
The doorstop.
We had exactly. I think this was one of the things that we talked a lot about, that we are all in our daily lives surrounded by what we would call no-name design or anonymous design, these kind of silent, invisible objects that we use in our daily life, but we don't really notice them. It's a little bit like who notices a doorstep? You long for it when you want to
open the door.
Then everybody starts talking about where the hell is the doorstop,
or who designed. It's like one of these things that is so pure in a way that it doesn't have a designer. And I know in the context of now, it's like we're fixated on the name equating to this. But when we were stuck in the beginning looking through what we wanted to do, the question, I had this image of an airplane wheel with two chalks or like door stops to stop it. And I just posed the question. I was like, the person who designed the wheel must think he's like God's gift to Earth, but the person who designed a doorstop is equally as impactful because it can stop a plane in its tracks.
Exactly. It's kind of a everyday icon, I would say, that you can use in so many different contexts. And here we have used it in a, I would say, quite unexpected way.
Yeah.
If we, I mean, when you look at this, I mean, it's a very sort of generic, simple shape, and normally you wouldn't have a hole in a doorstop unless you make it by purpose. But you actually wanted the hole in the doorstop, and I think we can reveal why. Why is there a hole in the doorstop?
Yeah, and then, you know, we happen upon, I would think, you know, one of the biggest design challenges on planet Earth to ask of anyone with an architectural, industrial design or whatever, it's like design a chair. It's the same thing, it's like design a t-shirt to a fashion. It's like if you can distill line, form, shape, function, history. So just to quickly move ahead, that doorstop is my tool within furniture or objects to sort of be a signature. It metaphorically means something. But when it came to a chair and what I approached, I grew up in a home with these chairs, again, anonymous design, but that was like, you know, Swedish or Amish ways of constructing chairs, which we've then used as a tool to merge with my aesthetic, the doorstop, and to make a language. So that's revealed here. You know, the idea is that it's a chair with 3 legs that are equal length, but then this one is taking use of this mythical, anonymous design that I think is a metaphor.
Exactly. Do we have any?
People interested in the title, Doorstop Interruption. Tell us about the title and the significance of that, the interruption.
A lot of what Henrik and I, you know, he's well versed in the history of art that preceded now, and that's what interests me. You know, we're not just on planet Earth designing things from thin air. There's generations that led us up to here. So what I'm using this doorstop is sort of an interruption, but also building off that lineage. You know, this particular type of construction where it's native to Sweden, me coming and sort of having my signatures of maybe pop art or sort of conceptual art. But I thought if we could merge that into a chair, then this chair equals something new. It equals something different.
Yeah, but also, I mean, this kind of interruption is this kind of something unexpected. You wouldn't expect to have a doorstop, you know, kind of with the leg. And I think it's also, for me, I mean, what we've discussed is also this kind of, that when we do like this, that we put it on a pedestal, we kind of elevate this anonymous design into becoming more like a artistic object, and it's kind of taking something that is normally not considered design value. We kind of put this in and interact with the chair. And I think also what is good, worth mentioning with this chair is that this chair originally comes from the shaker chair, the Amish, or the Windsor chair in England, and we call it pinstol in Sweden, and they come from kind of folk culture, or they don't have a kind of origin where it's a designed thing. It came out of necessity of having a chair that was functional, that was lightweight to move around. And then as I see it, what Virgil has done, he's kind of taken the history and the aesthetics and reinterpreted it into a more contemporary current design that resonates with our times today. That's how I see it.
Exactly. And then, you know, it's modern and it's, you know, it's 2018. So within the way that we're sculpting the lines and how we're trying to evoke a new emotion, those are the minute details that weren't overlooked as well. If you move around, as you were noticing, if you move around the chair, its proportions reveal itself in different ways. And
I mean, you have the front, which is how you normally perceive or see a chair, but then when you go around, you actually reveal the shape and all the angles, so it becomes an interesting chair from all angles. And I think that's creates a design value, which is something that adds this extra dimension to it. Do we have some questions?
Yeah, we just had another question. So, what about the specific choice of the red in the doorstop?
Yeah, that's important. Like right now, these are prototypes. So what's great about our process, we're showing things, of course they look like fact, we're getting feedback information just by looking at it. In 3D rendering or in Photoshop, I always just saw red. You know, it's like it feels like an interruption, the color. But as we're developing, Henrik knows, and we're sort of waiting for feedback if I can do it in a transparent material. The idea would be recycled acrylic. So that, to me, another thing that I learned from Henrik around the process is one of the oldest connections between wood is a broom handle, which is just threaded. But that's usually between wood and wood is unseen detail. So using modern tools, making that in acrylic and having it express the sort of connection would be highlighted in this. But these are all, what you see in the final version will tell you what had to be compromised.
I think it's important for you guys out there to know that this is a process. We are in the middle of the product development process, and there will be alterations and things, but we wanted to show you where we are. And as Virgil mentioned, it's when we talk about acrylic is an oil-based product, and IKEA, we work we believe in circularity. That means it needs to be a sustainable material. And if we can do it in recycled acrylic, then we're okay. If we can't, then we don't do it, because we are such a huge company. We have a responsibility for our planet to make sure that we produce it according to our values about sustainability and democratic design values.
People have been sending in questions saying, how are you able to take on board the kind of the feedback that you're getting, you know, the live feedback now, the feedback you've had from the past from people? Is that something you're able to take on board?
We're just being friendly now. When you see our design sessions, they can get pretty animated because the process, it's in process. You know, like we're not done. Like we have meetings before and after this that are rigorous. You know, they're challenging. These are the first time that I'm seeing like some of the shapes and I'm getting good visual feedback, but that's what most excites us. That's the essence of the project, is not just us designing something cool for cool sake. The function is millennials' home. So the process will include us taking this chair to a dorm room, a person's first apartment, to see like what can be affected. I think I have another few months until I have to like stop and put the pencils down.
And also because I mean it wouldn't really make sense just to introduce another chair as a kind of a replica of something that has already been done. I mean, if we want to reinterpret the design history, we need to twist it. We need to take it to another level and make it more relevant for today.
Which is like, we'll go on quickly, but that's why you'll see I'm trying to embed an artistic quality and things that you already have. So the chair is elevated because it feels more like an art object than a typical chair that serves its functions with 4 equal legs.
So we just have one more question. How do you think this collection will impact millennials' lives when it's released in 2019?
Hopefully in a good way. We can only hope and pray that you would like it.
Well, for one, like there's a myriad of answers to that question, but for one, I want to bring a sense of pride. You know, like we're in this world where, like, look at the positive side of the word hype, right? Like, but when it's applied to a shoe, as you can see here, you know, they're just sneakers, but they come from a halo, and so if you own them, there's a different sense of pride. Those things are usually left for garments and sneakers. I want to extend that dialogue to where I come from. I learned how to design those things from textbooks about art history and architecture. So if we can make that same halo effect on a chair, on a credenza, or on a rug, or on a display case, then you have a sense of pride in it, and then you're appreciating the design and not in just something that's broke. You know, like he said to me, he's like, you only notice design when your door handle's broke, or when your car doesn't work. That's when you sit and dwell on it. And a project of this nature can make design something that's at the forefront of the reason why you purchase it.
Absolutely.
And it's affordable, and you can get it, you know.
So this is the display cabinet Virgil has designed, and I'm really excited about this. I'm going to have this for home test.
Home testing.
For home testing.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice that you have taken this opportunity also to show that you can actually display your favorite sneakers, or you can put something that has a personal value for you. And I'm really curious to hear if people out there, how they see this, because I think to some extent we have this idea about storing is something we do behind closed doors. You know, it's not.
It's not something. What I thought is that for myself, the personal narrative is I consume, and I consume a lot, because what I do is I get stuff and then I put it away. I don't visually remember that I have these art books. I don't visually remember that I have sneakers. And if they're away, that should be something that I put on display. And so this is a means of sort of like curating your junk drawer or curating the most coveted things. So at least they're stored and they become an art object. And I think that that would have an impact on our consumption level.
Absolutely.
So that's where, you know, IKEA, thinking about sustainability, materials, circularity. And then my role is to think about what coveted means to design and how can that influence a more sustainable. So that all together comes together in the premise of the case, but that artistic quality that we mentioned with the doorstop manifests itself in the door handles here.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I mean, these are all prototypes, so I'm not gonna slide the doors because then it will fall off. To be quite honest, we glued it on yesterday, and that's the way it is to work with prototypes. But I think I really like the idea that you took the nail, again a universal, anonymous, no-name design, and then actually transformed it into a functional and also a sculptural handle. When I look at it, I think that's the kind of also this kind of idea you have, that you kind of can take something that is you normally wouldn't expect to have the function of a handle.
And that in itself is like, it's something important for the people at home. When you want to design in these like larger institutions, I understand that IKEA already has display cases. They already have a limit.
Absolutely.
So my role is to think of something else that's not in something that they already do, and have it be strong enough to be a valid concept.
Yeah.
So.
And often also you could say that handles are something that we tend to put the least attention into when we design things, because it's a basic function. You know, but when you look back at the art history, you could say you go back to the Baroque time. The handles were kind of super. Exactly, that was the kind of the expression and the decoration. But this is also kind of a decoration, but in a more. Also, I think it's a little bit like that we put, because I know how fond you are of industrial design, and also the idea of the nail, which is kind of has survived from ages and still is relevant today. So I think having this kind of connection point, awareness of where things come from is interesting.
For this particular product, we've got a great question that's just come in, which is for you, Virgil. You got the sneakers in the cabinet, which triggers the question from someone that's just said, what for you is the biggest differentiation between designing clothes and sneakers and designing furniture?
To me, there's no delineation. I ask myself the same question before I start, and that's why. Why does this need to exist? You know, and that answer can apply to a water bottle. It can apply to a candle, because that's how I start thinking about what my interruption would be.
Exactly.
And you know, that's what I'm trying to sort of preach about design, is that it's wider scope. There's so many professions within design. If it's something you find intriguing in one aspect, you can apply that in a rationale rather than applying it specific. So in a way, I think of it, they both do the same thing for me.
And from like a practical perspective, Zen Ren asks, how difficult is it for you, Virgil, to balance your time, precious time, between Off-White, Nike, Louis Vuitton, IKEA?
It's like almost time isn't a factor. It's like I'm compelled to. I feel that it's the best use of my time is to sort of breed new ideas and share them and build bridges between them. You know, I dedicate my life to it. So it's all fulfilling. It's not work, you know.
Can we? I think it would be super nice just to have a look at it's a prototype. It's a prototype, Virgil. For God's sake! My God, we love to tell us a little bit about this rug that we
Yeah.
have here on the wall.
As we're rounding out,
Yeah.
you know, with our selection, it's for starters, and we'll get into this with speaking about our friends that have joined us to give some real feedback. But it's about the textures that make your space. We've talked about chairs. We're working on a table, of course, but what I thought is about what are these items that add character. You know, for me, I'm a person that I purchase art, you know, engage in that vein of living amongst design. But for a young person, I knew the time that I couldn't afford quote unquote art, but I wanted something that was a signature and represented. So immediately that question why is like, why does a rug, it's a tapestry. Why does it need to only be on the floor? When you go to Versailles, when you go to these places, it was never, you know, there were textures on the wall so it can perform as an art piece. So this is, you know, my language that I've been developing of questioning objects by using text to sort of reprogram them or recontextualize them. And this one was just a matter of, you know, it's like a red, white, and blue sort of play. You know, is the rug red or is it blue? Or is it, you know,
it becomes like a trompe-l'oeil, kind of a mind trick. What is it that you see?
Exactly, but it's mine because I've sort of made a history of using quotes in this way. But leaving that aside, that's my barometer, my own level to sort of produce something has to reach that. What's interesting is the rug that people have seen has been this Persian keep-off rug, which I'm really proud of. That was a different dialogue about sort of a living room with a Persian rug that you weren't supposed to ever go into that room, et cetera. But when I have other ideas in that, and this was simply the color play, but Henrik was like, there's these other techniques that you can use that don't apply to the Persian rug, but we thought gave this dimension, which is this is hand-shaved.
All the letters have been hand-shaved. So that means, and this is done manually after it's been woven. These fantastic craftspeople, they sit with the scissor and shave it so you get the exact shape of all the letters. And I think what is cool about this is also it gives it kind of three-dimensional effect. It makes the letters pop up in a way, which is nice. I like the idea that you talked about that the Versailles, because I mean it's also about this kind of that. I mean that we live in an age where we tend to forget our history, you know. And actually, these were, as you said, these were something that people had as a wall piece, as an art piece on the wall. But it was also something to keep the heat because they isolated the walls. Now we use it on the floor. So maybe it's time that we put the carpet on the wall instead and have a kind of the 2 points of having an artwork and still have something that adds comfort and warmth to your living room.
Therein, like with IKEA, as you have learned, it's not just thinking about how you're going to use it.
No,
like say you're done moving apartments and you want to sell it on eBay or Craigslist, and
that's also kind of a circularity.
Like that's, you know, super important. And then, like we can close as we talk about design, something that I want to communicate that doesn't work on an Instagram post, or like people will judge these things from photos. But this is a workshop, so we're showing you the decisions behind the scenes. Like many people, I even look at, hey, this is a first-rate idea. You know, I came up with this on a laptop under pressure.
And now you see the result and how it works.
But we didn't just stop there at the idea. It's about this minute detail makes it feel like it's finished, or something too. Like people would think that, oh, it's IKEA. You know, a misconception would be like it's just, you know, comes off an assembly line and they didn't even like think twice. You can see that it's the most considered, high level. Like we're looking at details. We're turning things upside over. You know what I've learned about this is the design. Don't look at the macro and just say like, oh, it's a blue rug.
On the backside,
Yeah.
So that's what we have time to. But I think that we have one last thing, is that we haven't told people what the collection is going to call. It's going to have a Swedish title. Our collections, everything we do has a Swedish name. It also has a Swedish name, and I think we have Christina.
Yes.
So she will hand you, not me. She will hand you the envelope so you can tell people what the title of the collection would be.
IKEA Oscars.
Yeah, exactly. What is it?
Yeah. Let's see. Drum roll, please.
So.
Markerad.
Markerad.
Markeret.
Markeret.
Markeret. We tried, you know.
I'm trying to learn
Yeah,
French and Swedish
yeah,
and
it's not-
Danish and Japanese.
Yeah.
So we'll write it here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I almost spelled it wrong. Okay. Perfect.
Great. Right. So this is what we had time for. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, the process continues, and if you want to follow what we're doing, you can stay tuned at IKEA today, and we will meet Virgil again at our Democratic Design Days, which is the 7th of June, and there we will show more new prototypes.
Yeah.
So the journey is continuing.
Doesn't
Great,
stop.
yeah, great to have you here.
Perfect.
Thank you, Virgil.
Yeah, thank
you.
you. Sweet.